What's going on, guys? bizanix here. Today we're going to be talking about all of the equipment and all of the taunts that I have unlocked so far in Doom. Now before we go any further, I just want you to know that subscribing to my channel will give you daily Doom and Star Wars Battlefront updates. Also, if you ever want me to do something in particular, such as like a class setup or something in general, let me know in a comment and I'll definitely get a video out for you. And finally, if you ever want to play with me, then give me or let me know in a comment and I will definitely get my information to you as quickly as I can. That way we can play. But without further ado, let's get into what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to start off with the equipment, and it's fairly simple. All it is these, like less than 10 things here. And basically you have your basic frag grenade, and all it says is an anti-personnel fragmentation grenade. The detonation timer starts on floor impact, so it's a lot like Halo where it has to hit the ground first, which is cool and I like that. You can't really throw it that far anyway, so it's not really a big deal. Personnel teleport is definitely an interesting piece of equipment. It's a thrown device that teleports a soldier to its location after deployment. Activate again to teleport. Now when you throw this thing, you can throw it basically anywhere on the map. You can even throw it off cliffs and you can spawn yourself off a cliff and kill yourself. I've done that several times by accident, so yes, I'm speaking from experience. But all you do is once it hits an object, you can throw it there, or you can tap your E button if you're playing PC, and basically you'll just spawn wherever it's at. And it's a great way to get out of like combat if you are ever low on health. However, it does take about a second to deploy, so don't think it's instantaneous. And if you don't use it within about 4 or 5 seconds after you've thrown it, then it does go away and you can throw it again after, but it's not in the same spot. So don't get any ideas about putting it on one side of the map and then playing, then when you're about to die, spawn away. It doesn't work like that. You have to throw it within 5 seconds. The next thing is the Tesla rocket. This thing's okay. It's not really that great from what I have used it on, basically, but it says this variable speed energy device slows down to strike targets. It passes with bolts of energy. It's not really bad, only because when you throw it down, it kind of stays there for a good couple seconds, and it does shoot everyone that's in the area. Although it doesn't do a lot of damage, it's really just meant to slow down the enemy, and you can get shots off. It's sort of like a disorientation thing because not many people expect it, but when I was using it I wasn't really having much success with it, and so it might need to get buffed eventually, but we'll see what happens. Next is the siphon grenade. This is probably my favorite piece of equipment. I almost use it in all of my classes, but the siphon field created on impact leeches health from the enemies and returns it to the thrower. So it has a very big radius when you throw it, so it can affect more than one person. I often get 3 people in it at one time, and you get all of your health back pretty quickly if they're standing in it for at least like 2 or 3 seconds. So it siphons out 5 health per second they're standing in it. So if you had 3 people in there, and then you had, let's do the math here, once one person for a second is 5 health, and if you had 3 people in there for 5 seconds, or for a second, then that is 15 health, and you multiply by that by 3 if they're all standing, and it's like 45 health. I mean, it just multiplies. It's really, really awesome, and that's why I really like it. It really is helpful. Shield wall. This is another piece of equipment that I would probably use a lot, and it's called, it allows allies to pass through but is impermeable to all objects and enemies. So basically you can throw this down and enemies can't even walk through it. They have to climb over it, which they can, it's just it takes more time and they get shot while they're climbing, and bullets can't go through it. So if you're trying to protect like an objective and there's 4 people coming through this doorway, you can actually throw that down and then have another teammate like throw a grenade if they try to jump over. It's actually really, really awesome, and if you're working with a well functioning team, then this is a very great piece of equipment. Finally, or not finally, but close to the end, threat sensor. A reflected energy device tunnels through walls to highlight obscured enemies. This isn't bad. I have to say though, I haven't used it very much, only because I'd rather have something lethal rather than something that tells me when somebody's coming, because most of the time, even when you throw it down, you don't really react fast enough to even make a difference, really. So it's not bad. Maybe when you're working with a well-functioning team, it'll be used more. finally, the hologram. It creates a holographic copy of you. Press E or mouse forward once deployed to toggle movement. It's a lot like the hologram in Halo 4. I think it was Halo 4. I don't think it was in Halo 5, maybe. I can't remember very well. But it's basically like that, where you deploy something that looks exactly like you, however it's not shooting or anything, and it could even jump and stuff. And it looks like that, and it's to confuse the enemy, that way you can actually start shooting at them at the same time. So those are all the equipment pieces, and I have to say though that the Siphon Grenade probably is best if you're playing Domination. All the others sort of vary in a bunch of game types, so I'm not really going to go into those right now. Lastly, I just want to quickly go through the taunts that I have. There are a lot of them, and we're just going to go through all of them, and that's really about it. So this might take a little long, but we're just going to do it only because I know people are requesting some of this. So in case you're wondering, I am like a rank 24 Echelon level 1, rank 24, so pretty high up there, but not really that high compared to some people that I've actually talked to. They're actually really high, so they probably have almost everything unlocked, well, if not everything unlocked. So it's, you know, yeah, these things, I get to use them just about every round, but it really doesn't affect people. A lot of people were complaining about it really in the first place, talking about how these shouldn't be in the game of Doom, but I don't really see a problem with it. It sort of makes it more competitive. That way, like, if you really want to show off some of your taunts, then, you know, you just do it. I don't know. It's kind of cool. So let's just go through these. We're almost done. Last ones. And that's really about it, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, because it was a lot of fun to do and a lot of fun to make, and I'm just trying to help you guys out, so definitely hit that like button. And without further ado, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.